The 1990s were the first full decade when toy hype was supercharged. 24-hour news, cable TV, and the brand new internet all turned Christmas shopping into national headlines. Parents who once clawed over Cabbage Patch Kids in the 80s found themselves reliving that frenzy year after year. A new generation of toys sparked stampedes, shortages, and $100 resales almost overnight. In this video, we will not cover every single toy that was loved in the 1990s, but we will walk through the ones that defined the decade, the toys that sold in the millions, crashed store shelves, and even sent adults into full-blown panic on Black Friday. In the summer of 1990, a NASA engineer named Lonnie Johnson changed backyard battles forever. His homemade prototype, a high-powered water gun crafted from PVC pipe and an empty soda bottle, could blast a jet of water clear across the yard. That invention hit store shelves as the Power Drencher, but after a quick name change, in 1991, it became the Super Soaker. Kids had never seen anything like it. Instead of the old squeeze triggers, this new blaster used air pressure to unleash torrents of water with a single pump. Word spread fast. By the end of the decade, Super Soaker sales soared past $1 billion, turning summer water fights into a national pastime. The Super Soaker did not just outsell every other squirt gun, it set a new standard for what a toy could be, proving that a clever bit of engineering could spark a full-blown craze and launch a billion-dollar brand. When Mighty Morphin Power Rangers exploded onto Fox Kids in 1993, the show didn't just capture after-school attention, it set off a merchandising hurricane. Each episode played out like a half-hour commercial, with color-coded heroes, monster battles, and a constant parade of new Zords and weapons. The marketing machine behind the scenes was relentless. Haim Saban, the show's creator, had spent years pitching the idea before finally landing a deal with Fox. Once the show premiered, toy stores became battlegrounds of their own. Action figures, Megazords, and role-play gear vanished from shelves within hours. Parents lined up before dawn, only to find empty pegs and handwritten signs. Sold out. Check back next week. By the end of 1995, Power Rangers toys had already raked in over $1 billion. Over the rest of the decade, the franchise would move more than $6 billion in merchandise, turning serialized television into a perpetual retail event and making the Power Rangers the gold standard for media-fueled toy mania. When Tamagotchi landed in Japan on November 23, 1996, Bandai wasn't just selling a toy. They were offering a digital pet that lived and died in the palm of your hand. This egg-shaped gadget had a tiny screen and 3 simple buttons, but it demanded constant attention. Kids woke up to beeping alarms, scrambled to feed, clean, and discipline their pixelated creatures, and sometimes snuck the device into class to avoid a virtual tragedy. The life stage mechanic meant your Tamagotchi could grow from baby to adult, or vanish forever if neglected for even a few hours. Schools around the world started banning them, fed up with the chorus of beeps and sudden outbreaks of playground drama. By the end of the decade, more than 80 million Tamagotchis had been sold worldwide. What started as a quirky experiment in digital companionship quickly became a global habit, and it set the stage for the screen-addicted generations that followed. On Black Friday 1996, Tickle Me Elmo turned toy shopping into a contact sport. Tycho's giggling red Muppet, priced at $28.99, flew off shelves so fast that by December, stores were rationing stock and desperate parents were chasing delivery trucks through parking lots. In Canada, a Walmart employee was knocked down and trampled by a crowd of nearly 300 shoppers surging for a fresh shipment. News crews camped outside stores, capturing scenes of chaos, shoving, shouting, even scuffles over the last Elmo on the shelf. Scalpers snapped up what little inventory there was and flipped dolls for over $1,500 apiece. One charity raffle in Denver fetched a staggering $18,000 for a single Elmo. Tyco managed to sell about 1 million units that holiday, but it was not nearly enough. The shortage only fed the mania, and each new shipment brought fresh crowds and fresh headlines. For a few wild weeks, Elmo was not just a toy. He was the most wanted thing in America, and no one, not even store security, could keep up. Furby hit shelves in 1998 looking like a cross between a gremlin and an owl, with a battery-powered beak and eyes that seemed to follow you around the room. At $35, it promised not just a toy, but a new kind of companion, one that spoke its own language, learned new words, and responded to touch. Kids lined up for hours, hoping to snag one before they disappeared. Tiger Electronics shipped 1.8 million Furbies in the first year, but that was just the beginning. By the end of 1999, 14 million had found their way into homes, and resale prices soared to $300 or more as parents scrambled to make holiday wishes come true. The Furby craze got so intense that rumors started flying about what these little creatures could actually do. In January 1999, the National Security Agency banned Furbies from its offices, worried that the toys might record and repeat classified conversations, a claim Tiger Electronics insisted that was impossible. For a brief moment, a talking plush toy became a national security concern, and the Furby mania showed just how quickly novelty could turn into full-blown hysteria. Pokémon Cards arrived in Japan in October 1996, but it was the US launch by Wizards of the Coast in 1999 that turned trading cards into a national obsession. At first, they were just playground currency. Kids swapped Pikachus and Charizards between classes, hoping to complete their decks or beat friends in after-school battles. That simple game, though, grew into a full-blown tournament scene. Card shops started hosting league nights, and the rarest cards became trophies, handled with care and slipped into plastic sleeves. As the craze spread, stories began surfacing of first edition holographic Charizards, selling for thousands, then tens of thousands, and eventually breaking the six-figure mark at auction. By the 2020s, a pristine copy could fetch close to $1 million. What started as a way to play and trade quickly became a speculative gold rush, with collectors and investors chasing sealed packs and graded cards. Pokémon did not just dominate the 90s, it set the blueprint for childhood fads, turning into serious adult investments. Ty Warner didn't just sell plush toys. He engineered a collecting frenzy. Beanie Babies arrived in 1993, looking simple enough: small animals stuffed with plastic pellets and a heart-shaped tag. But Warner had a trick up his sleeve. Instead of flooding shelves, he kept production runs limited and started retiring certain animals without warning. Suddenly, a $5 bear or moose could vanish overnight, and rumors of rare finds swept through playgrounds and office break rooms. Price guides and early online forums tracked every new retirement, fueling speculation and fear of missing out. By the late 1990s, people lined up outside Hallmark stores, hoping to snag the next Princess Bear or Garcia before the supply dried up. Some treated their collections as investments, convinced these little animals would pay for college. Counterfeiters and scammers followed, and Ty's retirement strategy only fanned the flames. For a few surreal years, Beanie Babies weren't just toys. They were a full-blown bubble, with price lists and message boards turning playtime into a high-stakes collector's game. No playground in the 1990s was safe from the tidal wave of Pogs. What started as Hawaiian milk caps, simple cardboard discs from juice bottles, turned into a national obsession almost overnight. By 1994, kids everywhere were stacking, slamming, and flipping Pogs in fierce lunchtime battles. The rules were simple, but the stakes felt sky high. Winner takes the pile. At its peak, the Pog craze pulled in millions, but by 1997, the boom had fizzled. School districts across the country banned the game, blaming it for fights, distractions, and lost lunch money. Just as Pogs faded, Crazy Bones took their place. Tiny, colorful, knucklebone-inspired figurines that racked up $17 million in sales in just a few years. They too were banned in classrooms as teachers tried to keep up with the latest playground craze. For a few wild seasons, these pocket-sized fads ruled the schoolyard, only to vanish as quickly as they arrived. By the mid-1990s, the meaning of the word toy was changing fast. When Nintendo launched the Super Nintendo Entertainment System in 1991, it brought 16-bit graphics and Mario into living rooms across America. 5 years later, the Nintendo 64 delivered three-dimensional worlds and four-player showdowns that redefined after-school hangouts. Sony's PlayStation, which debuted in December 1994, shattered all expectations. Over 100 million consoles sold worldwide, turning video games into a mainstream obsession. But it wasn't just about hardware. In 1995, Thinkway Toys released Buzz Lightyear figures for the first Toy Story movie. The demand was so intense that stores couldn't keep Buzz on the shelves, echoing the shortages and stampedes seen with Elmo and Power Rangers. Suddenly, tech and pop culture merged, and the hottest toys weren't just dolls or action figures. They were digital, cinematic, and collectible. The 1990s closed with consoles and characters leading the charge, setting the stage for a new era where playtime meant pixels, blockbusters, and billion-dollar brands. Today, the scramble for trending toys plays out online, in seconds, not hours. Scarcity, speculation, and viral hype still shape what kids want and what collectors chase. The frenzy has moved to new platforms, but the thrill and the stakes remain. Which memory matters most to you? Let us know below.